まあ、オリジナルの言語でそういう情報を吸収していくのは大事かなとは思う。
Welcome to the Lazy Fluency Podcast, where we have casual conversations switching between English and Japanese, so that you can learn from and with us along the way. I'm Joey.
And I'm Yami.
And the topic of the day is English in Japan. Before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and or drop a review to the platform you're listening on. And if you feel so inclined, support us on Ko-Fi. We appreciate the support. And with that out of the way, English in Japan. English education starts from the 3rd grade in Japan. Despite this, Japan ranks dead last on the English Proficiency Index when compared to other OECD nations. It is no surprise that English proficiency is extremely low in Japan, but the question we are asking today is, does that even matter? Aimi, what is the Instagram post that sparked this episode?
はい。なんか私がインスタグラムのリールかなんかで見つけたある動画があって、でそこでまあなんか議論になっていたのが、ビデオが2人の人が喋ってて、1人がアメリカの軍の人、ミリタリーの人で、もう1人が日本人の、まあ彼女かな、わかんないけど人がまあ喋ってたと。でなんかインタビュアーが英語を日本人は英語を話すようになるべきかみたいな感じで、その2人が答えてたのが、まず1人のアメリカの軍人の人が言ってたのが、なんか日本人は英語をもちろん喋れるようになった方がいい。でその理由としては可能性も広がるし、でなんか今は日本の、まあ、経済とかも、まあ、停滞してるから、まあ海外に出て、まあ、英語を使ってつける仕事とかまあ仕事にそういう仕事にで働けるようになるためにはやっぱりある程度の英語力が必要だから、英語を学んだ方がいいんじゃないみたいな話で、コメント欄でなんかすごく見られたのが、結構日本人で外国人排他的な思考の人が多くて、でもう一つがなんかすごく嫌なコメントをしてた人がわりかし多くて、でアメリカの軍人の人がまあ黒人だったのね。でなんかコメントの中には黒人はもともとイングリッシュを話すわけじゃないんだから、なんだ奴隷だった時の血がちょっと今湧き立ってるからって言って日本人に英語を強要するなみたいな感じで、なんか結構ねヘイトレーズのコメントが多かったのがすごくなんかびっくりしてたんだよね。そう。
Yeah. So I'm going to read this specific comment, or one of the comments that was kind of sparking at least some outrage, as well as the thing that surprised me is that there's 704 likes on this comment. And then separately, just for those keeping in mind, the American who was speaking, the military person, was saying basically like, oh, with the yen looking the way it is, and if it gets potentially worse, you should, if you're Japanese, consider learning English. Yeah, and also with declining birth rate, you should consider learning English. So that was his comment. I'm going to talk about my opinions. But before I read this comment, I would say that if we're going like really, really back into history, I'm always kind of thinking, especially when you're talking to someone who's African, like everybody was African first. You know, that was yeah, so if you're talking about like you betrayed your original, your ancestry, Japanese people, you betrayed your African ancestry first. So, that's what I would say in terms of like recent history. But anyways, this was the comment, and I will shout out this person because he was quite the asshole. So it was Yoshiro87. Shout out.
I don't know if we can shout out to his
a negative shout out. And his comment was as follows. It's not necessary to learn English. That guy is a sociopath. One thing most Japanese won't be able to tell just by looking at his eyes. Look how his feelings don't change in his eyes. I seriously despise these videos trying to silently kill Japanese society and culture under the guise change is needed. Millions of Japanese watch these videos and see these people as unmindful, yet no one says anything against them because these people are just shunned in society. If you watch the movements of these people, the excessive touching on each other is something they are doing to signify the relationship. Maybe they think they are having a chance to throw their multiracial relationship in other Japanese faces. This is a common trend. These videos encourage less sensitive Japanese to do which threatens conservative thinking that is all that's left to keep Japan alive. These are those of us Japanese who are first and second gen who are noticing this, who are more aggressive than mainland Japanese. We are more spiritually aware of how the air is changing in Japan and this air is what drew us back to Japan out of comfort. If you as a mainland Japanese don't understand how the economy was deliberately put into high inflation because of financial issues started by the US and Zionists, then you are the reason for the destruction of everything pure that once influenced the air in Japan. We Japanese are tired of these videos created with the mindset to show silent culture cleansing and cowardice to promote the idea of men from other countries showing relationship signs to openly dominate our women. Not thank you for the comment. This comment was blatantly racist in a billion different ways. Also, I did not change the grammar and give the respect of correcting this person's grammar. Fuck your grammar.
まあこの人だって要するにだって英語を学ばなくていいっていう立場でしょ
No, he didn't even talk about that. He was just like blatantly racist to this person. Was talking about their eyes. Probably also
しかもなんだっけ public affection なんだっけaffection.
Yeah, then also started talking about him being close, publicly affectionate with his girlfriend as trying to... I feel like this is a very Japanese thing, which is if you see someone doing something, it's always trying to promote it to the Japanese sentiment within like oh, you're doing this? Are you saying we shouldn't do this? It's like, bro, you're looking way too far into it. So obviously this guy's comment was ridiculous, but that's to show you like there were a lot of comments like this.
驚いたのがまあコメントこういうのが多くてでしかもライクも多いっていうことはやっぱりこういう考え方の人が多いってことだよね。でしかもそれがまあわりかし多分高齢の方中年とか高齢の方が多いのかなとは思うんだけどでも多分中にはまあ若い人もこういうなんて言うんだろうね。まあ、愛国主義っていうか愛国主義でもないよねなんだろう排他的というか的な考えをしてる人も多いってことだよね。
There are definitely a base of Japanese people like that. I think specifically with a comment like this was probably like Americans who are very nationalistic liking it or other Western countries because the majority of Japanese people aren't able to read this statement as we've talked about here. And like I said, the focus of this episode is not why Japan's education system is so bad, at least not entirely. It's more of should Japan consider learning English. So this guy's comment obviously was the inspiration, but I actually want to get, into the topic more of itself. I mean, before I go into like my specific opinions, we've heard, this person's opinions. It's cultural washing. Not, do you think Japanese education system is good, but do you think, let's say if the average Japanese person or the government, you can talk about both. Do you think English is something an individual should do? Do you think English is something the government should double down on?
いや、それはまあ、ガバメントがやらないとだってこういう考え方の人たちってそもそもさ、まあ、英語に触れるわけはないじゃんね。俺たちが最強だ最高だ日本国大好きみたいな人はだってその外国語も学ばないわけじゃん。でもなんて言うんだろうまあその政府がわりかし、まあ、若い頃からもう小学校からとか英語教育をすることで確実に価値観も広がるしでまあ、英語を使ってまあ、いろんな国の人と喋れたりとかいろんなまあ、コンテンツに触れることができるじゃん。でジャパニーズしか知らないと国内で起こってることしかわからないしで結構なんかよく私たちが言ってるのが翻訳とかで結構なんだろう意味が汲み取れてない時も結構多々あるのね。映画でも何でも、まあ、ニュースでも何でもだからそういった時に違う言語 英語から日本語でなるときに、日本語っていうその違う言語のクッションを置くと本来の意味とは違うことが、受け取れちゃうわけよ。だからやっぱり、オリジナルの言語でそういう情報を吸収していくのは大事かなとは思う。で、この人が言ってるなんか主張としては多分さ、foreigners がなんだろう、日本っていう、固有の土地を侵略してなんだろう、文化を変えていくのは腹立たしいみたいなことを言ってるじゃん、この人たちは。で、なんだろう、私もちょっとはなんて言うんだろう、彼らの立場もなんて言うんだろう、賛成ではないけど、言わんとしてることは分かるっていうか、なんでかっていうと、その文化とかってさ、やっぱりなんだろうね、今まで培ってきたことが積み上がってできるわけじゃん。歌舞伎であってもさ、今までずっと伝統的に歌舞伎の家から生まれた人がずっと継いでいくとかさ。だからなんだろう、そういう文化を保つためにはなんて言うんだろう、ずっと侵略というか、他の文化が入り混じると混ざった文化になっちゃうっていうのは分からなくもないけども、なんて言うんだろううちらはうちだからお前らは外で見てろみたいなとか、あと日本に来る人は日本の文化に馴染むべきだみたいないうのは、なんか強制するのは違うと思うし、なんか一つのことにとらわれるとそれ以外に見えなくなってしまうから、それがすごく悪いことだと思うから共存するべきだと思うよ。はい。
I mean, so does that mean you think the government should push more in funding for English, or are you saying that?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. The thing that I want to talk a little bit about was the topic you were saying, basically that Japanese is, Japan's culture. And I'm not saying Japanese isn't a big part about Japan's culture, but especially because we had our Okinawa episode recently, the main difference between, I feel like, culture changing normally or naturally, because culture changes all the time, and a bad thing would be forcing someone to cultural change, would kind of mean if something was done with the consent and, by intentional decisions made by people, that they had the freedom to make the decision, or at least one that was voted on democratically in the system of government. The big difference between something like that and what happened with Okinawa or Hokkaido, which when you're saying that Japan's culture, and I know that you probably didn't mean this is the only form of Japan's culture, but I would definitely say that in modern day Japanese culture, the people of Ryukyu had their language kind of erased, and every single individual prefecture of Japan had a large portion of their language erased, in Japanese, and the people of Ainu had a lot of their language erased, which is not related to Japanese. We speak it nowadays, but I don't think someone like this would even consider that as erasure of Japanese culture. So just understanding that Japan in itself even has many languages, and dialects, which have been stepped on pretty heavily, especially within the last 100 years. But I doubt people who are modern Japanese see it that way because they're born currently and they think that the culture that happens now is the only thing that exists. In terms of, with that said, I do have a kind of slightly different, what's it called? If you look at the countries that end up being successful at English, so I looked at the top, the top of the rankings for the English Proficiency Index, depending on the year, is basically Netherlands or Sweden. And, most countries are in Europe. You have some examples, of Singapore with fantastic English ability, but they literally natively speak English, Singlish, which is so incredibly close to that for imperialization reasons. They were conquered by Britain, and they have a very specific history. But if you're just looking at the East Asian bubble, China, pretty bad at English, a little better than Japan. Korea, pretty bad at English, but better than Japan and better than...
なんかコリア、チャイナって言ってもあれだよね。そうにランキング的にそう。
Korea's ranked 30 ranks above Japan, but they're both, I think, Korea's in the moderate category. And I think I should have looked up Korea in terms of why that is, because I feel like them, just like Japan, are very culturally separate from the rest of the world. They're very insular. I just think that Korea kind of goes extreme much harder in the testing thing, like even harder than Japan, and therefore people aren't really good at, I feel like, speaking as much, but they do have a lot of, a lot more,
そう
like English is very important.
なんか私がさ韓国人がなんか結構喋れるイメージがあるのはなんでだろう、なんかアメリカのそのまあなんか大学になんか行く機会があったのね。でそこでなんか韓国からなんかその韓国出身か分かんないけどなんかその学生がいて、でめちゃめちゃなんか英語ができてたから、でもその人じゃアメリカに途中から移り住んでんのかな、分かんないけど、からなんかすご
I
い
mean, I'm talking about averages.
ああまあそっか、まあちなみにあそこはさUC ベルクレーだったんだけど
Yeah.
多分そういう
Yeah,
と
no,
こ
I'm
行く
talking
人
about
はそうか、
averages.
うん、
And I'm not talking about somebody who's ethnically Korean. I'm talking about somebody who's like, or I guess ethnically as in like they're Korean American. I'm talking about somebody, born in Korea, raised in Korea, like the average Korean. Yeah. So basically to me, there's not really a good success case for being highly proficient, because that's really what you're saying. If you're trying to say you should learn Japanese to go to another country and work a job that would actually like give you social mobility, I don't think most Japanese people are going to benefit from like, taking their English level, or like, the average person and taking that English level and bring it over to America. They're not going to get any jobs. And I don't think they're going to be wanting to do like manual labor, like farming jobs. And so then the real question is, well, does Japan have a chance at improving its education system? And to me, if you look at it, like if best case scenario is like you grind as hard as Koreans do, and you get moderately okay English, and maybe in fields that don't require you to communicate spoken English, like, maybe some research or maybe coding or something, you can get a job. I could not make that recommendation for the majority of the population. You know what I'm saying? Like even best case scenario, given what East Asian insular cultures kind of get at, it doesn't seem to be a bar that for the average person is something worth actually doing. And so then ask my question is, one, is it possible to improve the situation such that maybe there's something that Japan isn't doing that a country like, Sweden or Netherlands are doing? Is it possible to do that? And if it's not possible, is this all just wasted money? Or I think Japan would actually have to be in a situation where things went economically so bad that people felt like they needed to learn English to like live a decent life at all. There's a lot of people immigrating into Japan from other like surrounding countries, similar in the US, similar thing with, Hispanic countries having like a whole war-torn location. But I just don't realistically see Japan getting into a place so bad that they want to go to a country. I mean, there are some European countries, that maybe they'd want to go to Sweden or something. But I don't see them wanting to learn English, like, oh, it's so bad in Japan that, oh, we lost all our healthcare. We lost all our transport. Now there's gun violence everywhere. And, like the US. And so they'd actually want to go to the US. You know what I'm saying?
そうなんか日本ってさ結構その経済やばいよねみたいな国の借金がめちゃめちゃ多いとかっていうのはもう結構私が小学生結構前から言われてて、でも今でもまだ生きてるわけだから、だいたいなんか日本ってさやばいって言われてからなんかずっとゴキブリのようになんか生きてるよね。からそこまでなんていうの、その英語がめちゃめちゃ必要で、まあ英語じゃなくてもいいけどね、そのまあその世界にもっと進出するべきみたいな考えが起こるまで停滞はしないとは、そう私も思う。別になんか根拠があって言ってるわけではないけど、私もそこはちょっとちゃんと調べないといけないんだけど、そんな気はするよね。でそういったさ、まあなんていうの、そういうね、あんまり力入れる必要ないっていう状況でさ、じゃあめちゃめちゃ頑張ろうってなったら、まあ反対意見も出るわけじゃん。そのさっきの人みたいにさ、ね、日本は日本だからそのエイリアンに侵略されてはいけないみたいなね。
Well, what I was saying is like, the military dude, in my opinion, it's impressive that Americans, he was learning some Japanese. I'm not going to hate him, but the stereotypical thing for most American military men is they, date a Japanese woman or some Asian woman. They bring them back into America, especially in the Japanese case, they have a kid, the Japanese person goes back to goes back to Japan, and then the American person stays in the US. And so I'm saying both parties are eventually wanting to go back and live where they're from. And in an American situation, I don't think realistically, if the so in my opinion, America's already pretty in the shitter, like generally speaking, especially if you compare it to quality of life in Japan. And that's not making Americans want to actually learn another language for economic reasons. It has to be really bad. I feel like
だってでもさ、よく
what language are Americans learning for economic reasons?
違う、なんていうの、エコノミックリーズンっていうか、でも今言ってたのはさ、日本はさ、なんだろう、その、経済的には停滞してるけど、ある程度さ、ちゃんとな社会保障もあって、まだまだやっていけはするじゃん。で、QOL もまあまあ高い。
It's awesome. It's doing awesome. As far as I'm concerned,
そうそう。
It's kicking the ass out of, yeah.
そう。けど、でもそれを求めてアメリカ人が来るかっていうと、そうではないってことでしょ？
No. Okay, there are people like me, obviously. But I'm saying not the average person. You know, not even close to the average person. I feel like the average American...
あれだよね、日本はなんだろう。その旅行として来るのはすごくいいっていうか、観光地も多くて、でアメリカにはないチップがないとかさ、いろいろあると思うけど、でそれを気に入る人はいると思うけど、いざ住むってなるとさ、やっぱりなんて言うんだろう、住みにくいみたいなのはよく聞くじゃん。その英語が通じないとか、あとなんだろう、ちょっと差別されるところもあると思うし、だから実際住むってなった場合に住みにくいってなるから、アメリカに戻るわけじゃん、多分。
I don't think that's the majority of reasons for people actually doing that. Like the people I'm referring to, like who actually want to go and move to Japan, are people who are like, they don't see things like having to have N1 proficiency as a barrier. They're like, oh yeah, I'm totally down. Like you have the people who are way too to Japan, and the people who aren't like that. In my opinion, like most Americans, I'd say most Americans fundamentally at their core actually like want to be in America, just like most people in most countries.
Wanna be in America?
Want to be in America. Just like most countries, most places, they want to, even if it's bad in their head, they have some reason why they think America's great. No, I mean, I think most Americans, like, it's hard to argue with your maybe they'd reframe it. They do something called reframing. They'd be like, well, I don't want to, like, normally what happens if you say good things about other countries, the average American, even if they can acknowledge those good things, oh, well, Europe's like this. Well, but I heard that they have rising fascism, or I heard that, I like having a big lawn. You'll come up with some reason in your head why you're like, ultimately, I want to stay in America because this reason. In my head, it's just all reframing, and ultimately, you're trying to convince yourself.
なんて言うんだろう、それってさ、本当に、なんて言うんだろうね。そう人によるに尽きるんだけどさ、本当に移住したい人はさ、それだけ言語とかいろいろさ、移住するにあたって手続きとかもあるじゃん。そういうことをするじゃん、本当にしたい人は。けどそこまでモチベーレートされじゃない人は今留守だった国だし、便利だし、家族もいるしってなったら絶対移住しないよね。
Yeah, so my point was that given that, as far as I can see, nobody's broken the how do you get an insular East Asian country whose primary language is not English to be proficient enough to make it worth leaving your country, because you don't want to just work as a, picking like fruit. You want to actually get a good job better than your current life in Japan. No one's broken the code of how to do that. And when I looked, I have here linked like the number 1, number 2, Netherlands, Sweden, why they're so good in English education system. And obviously, 1, language is already way more similar to Japanese. Let's acknowledge that. 2,
English.
A lot of them, yeah. So they already have a massive, like a crazy massive advantage. Yeah, Sweden and Netherlands were like number 1 depending on the year. Netherlands last year was number 1. Sweden was number 1 2018.
違う、その国はわかるんだけどさ、言語的に似てるのかって言われるとびっくり。
They're both insanely similar if you're gonna compare it to how far Japanese is. I think they were both like...
確かにそれはそうだ。
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you look at their education system, this is for Netherlands at the age of 4, so this most primary schools still teach in Dutch, but there are some bilingual primary schools. At these schools, children are taught English for 30 to 50% of the day from age 4. They're really taught. And also primary education, percent of the day is taught in English. Primary education is intended for children. Sorry, go ahead.
いいな、なんか、羨ましいというかずるいというか、まあそりゃそうだよね。だからさ、European countries の人たちはさ、まあ喋れるってわけだよね。だってうちらさ、マジで本当に私がまあ小学生でいいや、小学生の時なんか、今は多分小学3年生から始まってるとかなんとか言ってたけど、私多分始まったのね、言うて多分3？ まあ3か4かだけど ABC の歌だけみたいな。そのみんなで楽しんでやりましょう、レクリエーションですよみたいな感じで終わりで、別に文法を学んだこともないし、ただ book A apple B book みたいな、そんな感じで本当に終わってたし、で一応なんか外国人の先生はいるのね、 AOT みたいな人けど、なんかそこもなんか言ってることを別になんか理解できなくても一緒に歌いましょうで終わってて、で中学1年生からやっと ABC やったけど、まあ、文法しかやらずみたいな、リーディングもやるけどみたいなで、多分パーセンテージ的に言うと 5% もいってないんじゃない、エデュケーション的に。
Yeah, but I was saying that also, so that was like, said most aren't like that, but it still has written here that primary education is intended for children the age group of 4 to 12 and is compulsory for children from the age of 5. And this is all regarding like how their English is structured. So they're learned from very early. And when you get into like secondary schools, it just gets more and more. At least 50% of the subjects are taught in English. The children speak English for instance, geography or history lessons during physical education. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons like the culture having an international focus, having a large network of bilingual schools. And if you look at Sweden, it's like the same thing. Open culture. A third of respondents said that Swedish culture is an open culture that's interested in learning of other peoples and cultures. Japan is not. Small country. I mean, it said, and this was like, sorry, it says outside of Sweden, nobody speaks Swedish. So a lot of people kind of, that what makes them global. Affinity for travel, they're wanting to go to a bunch of places. Japan does not. Domestic travel is the most frequent kind of travel in Japan. And then, and obviously the power. It said for Sweden, the power of media. Nearly 9 out of 10 respondents mentioned they learned English through non-dub English TV shows, movies, and music. Shout out to my video about anime, learning I was saying earlier. So now if we talk about Japan. They have none of these benefits. None. They're not really culturally that interested.
Just to, なんていうの、いい大学に進むためとかで、なんだろう。手段が目的になっちゃって、違う。ゴールが目的になっちゃって、まあそれはそうか。なんていうんだろう。その言語を学ぶのは楽しいよね。でしかもそれが将来役に立つよっていう目的じゃなくて、ただそのhigher education、ランクの universities とかに入るためだけに必要とされてるから、ただの道具でしかないんだよ。
So my question to you, Ayumi, now is after learning like what it takes to actually have English that would be good enough to take us, to actually give Japanese people a skill that they could use to actually try to get a better job for mobility, do you think the government should be, because currently at the moment we're doing it, what Japan's doing, it's not working. It's terrible. It's bad. You're like the worst in OECD nations with all this. Do you think Japan should, because to actually make it doing something, we're going to have to really up it up. We're going to have to, like our current thing, it's not good enough.
アップというかもう本当に全部変えるべきだと思う。全部なんかいいとこ
so that's my question. I'm saying if you actually want to have English education, do something in Japan. So in the US, it's fine that our language education doesn't do anything. It's terrible. Nobody knows Spanish. They learn it. But it's fine because our native language is, English. But in Japan's situation, you have two options. One, people get so desperate that it's going to be like the country's going to be, dying if it is dying. And then people forced to learn English. And then it'll be like a lot of countries where they have a lot of immigrants learning other languages to immigrate. Or Japan's really going to have to double down because right now we're in this like, half-ass zone where they're putting in money, but it doesn't seem we're getting anything out of it.
これにさ、 そのイングリッシュエデュケーションが、まあ、ちょっと強くないっていうのがさ、これに尽きると思うんだけど、もうまあ今さ、まあなんて言うんだろう、ほぼほぼ日本人が日本に暮らしてるじゃん。アメリカに比べたらさ、本当に日本国籍の人がほぼほぼそうじゃん。移住しにくい国だから。だからそういった環境にいるとさ、日本語を喋れればいいよねってなるから、だからなんて言うんだろう。じゃあ英語の教育に力入れましょうよってするときには、前提としてもう周りがなんて言うんだろうね、まあいろんな国の人がいて、でそういう人たちと、まあ、コミュニケーションを取るであったり、するために英語、まあ英語じゃなくてもいいけどね、が必要だよ、まあスパニッシュでもいいけどスパニッシュが必要だよってなった時に、あ、じゃあやんないとやばいやんってなって、国がちゃんとしたこういうなんだろう、教育システムを確立するから、まずそういう環境が実際にないと絶対に進まないと思う。
Well, there's one way. So currently, one of the reasons that Americans don't know Spanish at all is because Spanish people can speak English. But if Japan loosens its immigration and allows more people in, but doesn't encourage them and force them to learn Japanese, then Japanese people will be forced to use their English. And if you get enough people, you can do the Singapore approach where you just have so much of
でも
one
さ、多
culture.
分それに対してはそういうなんていうのに、政府がそういうことを進めると、多分大半がね反対すると思う。さっき
Of
の
course. So, but I'm saying, so do you think,
うんうん、
given what we've said, now there's like your personal experience with the realistic situation, do you actually think it makes sense to like, what do you do you think, hey, do we have to double down and actually care about it? Or are you fine with keeping English at this like?
なんかさ、なんて言うんだろう。日本ってやっぱりまあ先進国じゃん。で、まあ他のまあちょっと発展途上国の国たちってさ、まあ割となんていうの、侵略されたりとか、もう教育もその侵略側のに乗っ取られたりとかしてさ、そっちに合わせなくちゃいけなかったじゃん。けど日本って割となんか強いというか、なんか威張ってきたじゃん。過去でその歴史上だといろんなさとこまあカンカーしたりとかして、でそのなんて言うんだろうね、愛国心というか、それが今あだとなってさ、なんだろう、外国人いりませんみたいな考え方をしてる人がとても多いから、政府がじゃあもっと移民受け入れましょうとか、もっと外国語やりましょうっていう政策を立てたところで、国の人たちがそれに賛同しないと思う。ほぼほぼ多分ね、70-80% はね、多分反対すると思うよ、私。
No, so you're saying that they should give up on English because people aren't going to want it to come through then?
多分そうだと思う。私は本当にそのスウェーデンとか、まあ、さっきのオランダの言ってたすごい教育システムめちゃめちゃ羨ましい。もう途中から聞きたくなくなるぐらい羨ましくてけどこういうのをもう実際にやるにはそれこそ賛成がないとダメじゃん。こういうことやりますよ、マニフェストでやりますよ。
So we had a full flip then. But let us know what you think. Maybe
残念だけど多分難しいと思うよ。
So yeah, do you think Japan should actually, is there another way that, is the immigration way make any sense? Will Japan be forced to do it when immigrants just naturally take up more of Japan? Let us know your thoughts. 戻りました。
We are back.
今回、今年の抱負について話したいと思います。みんな、自分、この2024年の抱負を覚えてるかな？私は覚えてるけど、ちゃんとやってるかというと、まあまあって感じ。日本に行った時は、日本に行く前は本当に良かった。全部はなんかいい方向に進んでて、いろいろ読んだりしてたし、他の抱負なんだったっけ？そうだね。そのランニング継続的に続けられたんだから、それはいいことだったんだけど、多分日本に着いてから日本のすごいことがなんかありすぎて、その抱負をちゃんと続けられなくて、でも 日本に戻ってから、なんかもう一度、日本じゃなくて、アイドルに戻ってから、もう一度、その今年の抱負再開できるということを思ったんだけど、あゆみはどうかな？
What are your resolutions to stop?
恥ずかしい。一番恥ずかしいのは、毎月
like-
1回
yeah.
エピソードをアップロード、エピソードじゃなくて、そのメインチャンネルの動画をアップロードすること。
You knew
それ
that
は
was
完全なる
impossible. though.
完全なる失敗。
No,
でも
you knew from the beginning that was impossible.
そうだね。でも今はやばいね。なんかすごく6ヶ月間ぐらい経って、今の動画今まで作ろうとしてるんですけど、まだできてないから悔しい。でも、今月までに終わらせると思う。それは一応。
Yeah. Also, you gotta like comment saying that like don't forget to upload on the main channel. right?
そう、1週間に
Yeah,
1回、2回ぐらい来るそのコメントは。なんでメインチャンネルに何も出
Like,
てないの
everyone
みた
thinks
い
you're
な
dead.
毎日働いてんだよ。なんか編集で。なんか10時間ぐらい、マジで。なんか5時間、アイドに来てから、なんか6時間から10時間ぐらい編集してるんだけど、この動画はマジで時間かかって。その他の抱負は、なんだったっけ、そう、毎日、読むこと、その日本語の本と、本読んでるのは日本語の本読んでることになるんだけど、でも、そのなんか読むのが好きだけど、なんか一日なんか忘れると完全になんかやれなくなるというか、忘れることになる。で、ランニングに関しては、ある程度続けてると思うんだけど、その前よりできてない気がしました。でも、あゆみはどう？覚えてる抱負はあ
I
るか？
actually don't remember exactly what I said for my resolution this year, but I do remember it was something about running, and like half marathon or full marathon, and the biggest one was I think like passing the national exam or like graduation exam. And
なるほど。
other than that, maybe reading. Actually, I read a couple of books recently, and not like completed, but like I've been reading 3 books at the same time right now. So yeah, I think I'm doing well. Yeah, I don't set like a how do you say, like a specific amount to read each day, because I'm not that kind of person. Like for studying and for reading, if I do that, I know I will not achieve the goals. So I try not to set goals because I want to just like have fun, and then so that's my way to achieve things. So yeah, I think I will. Yeah, maybe I have to run a half marathon. I guess
あ、そうだ
today
ね。
was
それ
Today is the 申し込みの日かな? Yeah, for the half marathon I'm thinking of. Maybe tomorrow. Okay, yeah, but
あ、
I
そうだね。
think I have to apply for that.
で、ほとんどの目標は、なんかなんかなんていうか、12月、11月
年末年
になるっ
始。
てことかな。
年末? Yeah, I
年末になる
guess.
かな。
Yeah. But actually, the national exam will be in February, so it will be in 2025. So it's actually next year.
今年の抱負じゃない。
But the graduation exam will be in October. Oh my god, that's very soon. I have to study. Yeah.
で
Maybe I
勉
should
強
quit.
の目標や抱負なかったの？
I don't
なんか
know.
毎日勉強するとか、それなかったの？
Like recently, like I'm actually in summer break, but I have this job hunting interviews to handle. So I'm not like studying, and also I want to hang out with friends and want to do things outside of like med school, because I know I will not have enough time to do those things when I once become a doctor. Yeah, and I heard like for residency, they do like 8 knife shifts per one month. So it will be brutal, like 2 times a week. And I have not pulled an all-nighter in my entire life. So I don't know if I can do that.
私完全にできない。
Yeah.
もう分かっ
That would just mess up my circadian rhythm. So I don't know like what will happen. I'll just, maybe I'm like, at first I think I will be a little excited to do the doctor job, but I guess that will last for, I don't know, 1 week or so, and then after that I'll just be drained, and then I'll just go 過労死。
でもなんか普通にやりたい人いるんじゃない？そのなんか夜の時間が一番理想な人いなくない？
Yeah, but like the good thing for doing night shifts, first you can see like cases which are specific to the time zone, like like midnight, and also you get paid for the night shifts you do. So yeah, one of my senpais said that he could earn a lot, and like for my year, the government is promoting this like 働き方改革. I don't know how to say in English, but like basically the government limits the amount of the time doctors can work, because like it's been a problem, like social problem, for doctors working too much. So the amount of night shifts we can do will be reduced. So that way we cannot like earn that much money. Yeah, that's one of the concerns.
それだんだんなくなるといいね。
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
じゃあリスナーたち、今年の抱負あったら、まだ続けてる人なら、まあ続けてない人でもいいんですけど、ぜひぜひ今までの情報、今までの進行を教えてください。And we're back with the final section. And if you made it to the final section, that means you just send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com with a comment, question, language related, and or otherwise. And this week we have a comment from YoshiBro26. Shout out YoshiBro26. And this was a comment. This was a comment on our housing, like free housing, the Akia episode. And this is how it goes. This is what I would do if I ever want to own a house there / live long term. Make it my very own and actually get a space to show my existence. Plus, I can have an excuse to live in the countryside. I would totally buy one in Hokkaido if I can get easy train station nearby, so I don't need a car just to leave the town. If I can figure out how renting / becoming a landlord works, then I can fix one up and rent it out to someone to make a passive income while I go to school somewhere else in a different prefecture / district. Could be good and an excuse to try to get a residency visa instead of a boring tourist visa. Thank you for the comment, Yoshi Bro. I will tell you, I think it might be hard for you to find a way to rent or become a landlord just so you can rent it out for passive income so you can go to a school in another prefecture. Part of a lot of the deals, unless you
rent
he's basically saying he wants to someone buys a house or rents it in like a cheap place. But okay, this is kind of confusing because
レントするためにレントするってこと？
Yeah, but he also, yeah, basically. But it seemed like he also said he also wanted to just buy a house in Hokkaido, but be near a train station. But then it seemed like he said, goes to a school in a different prefecture. If you're going to be in Hokkaido, like living by a train station. So I'm assuming this person has 2 houses. They have one by a train station and then one somewhere else, which they're renting to someone.
なんかさ、私のイメージ的には結構なんか空き家をリノベーションしてなんかなんかいいハウスにするみたいなのってさ、イメージ的にはわりかしなんか森の中のイメージなんだけどだからさ、
Yeah, the thing is, I wonder if you can. I think you can buy properties because I know I was listening to this a while ago, like Chinese, just people in general buying up properties in rural Japan. But the thing that I'm confused about is when you're saying like could be used to try to get a resident visa instead of a boring tourist visa, is if you buy a house, does that give you the ability to then just get a residency visa?
あれでしょ、何もし
That
なく
probably
て
that doesn't sound right. It seems so weird.
買ったらもう買っちゃったからしょうがないよね。じゃあレジデンビザあげるよみたい
No,
な。
that sounds ridiculous though, because that means that any place in the world you could just
みんな買うよね。
yeah you could just buy
もう
like in
大物の
America
さ、
or
例えばさ、こんなちっちゃいさ家でもさ、ちょっと買ってさ、ちょっと家持ってるから日本住んでいいみたいな。
yeah I wonder you can probably buy them, but I doubt you could just get that seemed like that'd be the biggest loophole of all time.
あれだよ。なんか家買う時のさ、なんかコントラクトあるじゃん。あれの時に、その契約書で、あれじゃない、日本国籍、日本在住ですかみたいな多分質問あるんじゃない？で、多分そこでそうじゃないと、あなた買えませんってなんじゃない？さすがに。
I feel like, well, I know that there are some Chinese people buying up houses from China. That was a whole thing. I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe they're just doing it for real estate. Like they just buy the house
確かに。そうだよ。
and they just own it.
芸能人の人でも日本のまあそうねセレブリティとかさ結構なんかフランスに家持ってますとか現実でいるんよ。ハワイに
Oh yeah, and then you could just use a tourist visa. Like he said, he doesn't want a boring tourist. I love that reason you don't want to use a tourist visa is because it's boring.
トーリストビザだとどれぐらいの長さ入れるの？3ヶ月とかもっとかさすがにもっとか。
No. There's tourist visa is not actually a visa kind. It's like a non-visa. It's basically what is it?
あれ？アメリカってノンビザだとさ、日本に90日間入れるじゃん。
Yeah.
で、じゃあそれと同じだったらさ、ビザ取らなくてよ。
Yeah, but you're saying you could own a house and then theoretically, if someone was sold to you, I think it'd be hard for a billion reasons to get someone to actually sell you a house with no connection other than you have money and want to buy a house. Although there probably are like services that help you do that, from what I remember. But I don't think it's going to solve the fundamental problem of Japanese people don't trust non-Japanese people.
そう、なんかそれそうなんだよね。なんかさ、私もさ、まあ友達がいるわけよ、ドイツ人のね。でその人がまあ新しいアパートを契約して、住むってなった時になんかなんていうの、証明人なんだっけ、忘れた。この人はちゃんと
Guarantor?
そうだからちゃんと家賃払える人ですよみたいな、わかんないけど、それのなんか名前変えてほしいみたいに言われて、多分そこ確かね日本人じゃないとダメだったのかな、わかんないけど、なんか私名前変えたんだよね。だから
Oh, yeah, you're
そう
right.
だから
Yeah, so you're the guarantor on somebody's.
そう、
Yeah.
だから多分そういうね、多分本当にだから日本人の友達いない人どうしてんだろうね。
That was not an offer, just, podcast. Do not send house requests to Amy so she can be your guarantor.
I'm not gonna do that to everyone, but like if you get to know me and then become friends eventually, maybe.
No, I mean you're asking, you're inviting. No, we refuse all requests to be someone's guarantor. So sorry, Yoshi bro. Mainly because I feel like that would make us legally suspicious. We start getting people. What's it called? We start getting like the police being like, Amy, why are you the guarantor for like 20 houses in Japan?
Because I'm friends to everyone.
And if something goes bad with one of them, then somehow I
確かに
think
さ、そのさ、全員がさダメになるっていうね。
yeah, then yeah.
Don't send a
at the very-
request to me.
But yeah, that's funny. I want to look. It seems so simple. I'm assuming there's always some caveat for having a whole bunch of money. There's always the having a whole bunch of money caveat. Like if you have just a whole bunch of money, can I do this thing? Most of the time it's yes, but I think this is the one's not true. Or else just think about how easy. Like I could have so many citizenships in places that are extremely, extremely, like financially well off, or not well off, like, in ruins. Like $10 for a residence. Yay! I have 5 citizenships across different places in war-torn Africa. Yeah. I'm pretty confident that's not the case, especially with like the Zero and Bukken. But I know there are people who have been able to, like, the classic video like on YouTube where I bought one of the free houses and I'm living there. I still don't know how they're doing that. So maybe this is the case. I'm going to look into this more. So Yoshi bro, I don't know if I'll remember to bring this back up again, but make sure to, you were listening all the way, like I think this is episode like 69. Well, but we're pretty far ahead, so I might have to contact you. So
$2 倍ぐらい言ってるよね。あれ2倍どころじゃないか。2倍ぐらいか。
Yeah, pretty. Yeah, it's I think 131.
あれ2倍めっちゃ2倍に近いよね。
Yeah. Thank you for the comment, Yoshi bro. That bell means we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks for joining us in another conversation towards fluency. If you have any language-related questions and or just looking for general advice, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com and might respond next episode. Also, consider supporting us on Ko-Fi to get video updates, Discord access, and or to just lend a hand. And finally, make sure to check out our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. We'd appreciate the support. This has been Joey.
Ayami.
Signing off. じゃあねー。